There we go. We got a little Fugi. I can make it much bigger.
I was
There we
muted on
go.
my stream. Hello.
We got Fugis.
We got
sound.
Fugis. Have you
We
got my
everything.
Fugi?
Yeah, I got your Fugi.
Awesome. So I shall explain the technical difficulties before we start, because this is could be a learning experience for some of you with really bad internet connection like me. Number one, please start your collabs before either of you start streaming, especially before you start streaming if your internet is crap like me. Because what it does, it uses your upload speed to upload your model to the host server to put it up, but it also uses your download speed to download the other person's model. So if you do it before you stream, it goes much faster. Now, we're currently at 25%, so maybe eventually it'll get there.
It'll pop in eventually.
But for now, we're using a Fugi. But yeah, that's what we were struggling with for 15 minutes.
It's cool. It was only 15 minutes. I'm gonna be so honest with you. Usually when I collab, it tends to take us like 20 to half an hour to get everyone in.
Yeah.
Because if you have like 6 people collabing, the amount of like tech trouble that happens with that.
I mean, I do D&D games, so I basically have 3 players at all times anyway, but I usually make sure to, like, before a stream, like 30 minutes, I say, okay, we meet up, nobody's streaming, we set up the tech, and when we're all ready, we click play.
See, the groups I'm in, we all stream at different times, so like 90% of the time, at least 3 people have already been streaming for like 4 hours before we're collabing.
Yeah. No, I tend to, like, I think usually I can never stream longer than 4 hours a day unless it's a weekend, because full-time, living in a capital city and having to travel an hour and a half every day for work there and back, not fun.
Yeah.
So I run out of time a lot, so I keep, okay, today's for collab, today's for Genshin, today's for this. I kind of keep it very segregated. Is that the word? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, segregated, segregated. You keep different days for different things.
Yeah. So, hello to Ranger Roundtable Part 2. This is a series I spontaneously started because Astrea here recommended. She was like, hey, let's go meet talk. I was like, okay. And then, like, 2 more people said, hey, I heard you could doing this. Can we do that too? And then I ended up with, 3 as a pattern, contacting people, and now I'm booked all the way to December, so...
yeah, that's how it goes. It's fun.
Yeah, I've never had, like, just chatting streams, so I guess that's what we're doing now. For those of you who don't know, on Astrea's side, I'm Sylfania. I'm an Elven Ranger vtuber. I'm a variety streamer, and I'm a bilingual streamer. So I stream in both English and Russian, depending on the comments that come up. I do a lot of translations mid-stream between people. I sort of designated Genshin Impact for, like, my Russian audience, because that was the first game I've ever streamed with before I became a VTuber, and it was in Russian, so I kind of kept the consistency going. But everything else, I sort of played English. I play anything from RPG games, from to D&D, to story-driven games, to roguelites, to World of Warcraft raiding, like, the definition of variety, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of, that's moi. Our guest tonight, or in your case, Andromeda, I'm hopping into your stream.
Yep.
Would you like to introduce yourself to Ava?
Yeah, for those of you guys who are new, I'm Andromeda Astrea. I am technically a variety streamer, though I've kind of niched down into, like, lore-based things. So the reason I'm on Hoyo so much these days is because the lore and references are crazy. So my background is in classics, which is the study of the ancient world, specifically the ancient Mediterranean, and very specifically ancient Greece and ancient Rome. So I love to find, like, the places in games where they reference those things, because you get this, like, extra depth in a game. So, like, this just spoils nothing for Amphorius, but there's a character who's, like, the host of a place named Xenia, which in ancient Greek was the name of the sacred host Gaspon. So it basically meant that, like, it was safe to travel. You could knock on someone's door and say, hey, can I stay with you? And they weren't allowed to hurt you, and you weren't allowed to hurt them. And you had to provide them with food and things, and they had to be nice to you and help you out. So it was like a way of making things nice and peaceful. So to have a host of a place be named Xenia shows you, like, the level of depth that these games go into. So, like, Hoyo has a lot of that, which is where I stick with Hoyo a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Like,
yeah.
I don't speak. I mean, even from the beginning in Genshin, like a lot of, and in Honkai even, like the entire Belobog area has heavy Slavic implications.
Oh yeah.
Like Svarog is literally the god of apocalypse in like pre-Christian Slavic culture, and I think Belobog or like Bog means god.
Belobog is a god too, yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like,
Belobog
oh
is-
shit, crap. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. This is news to me.
I think the god of the darkness or the god of light. There's two, and Belobog is one half.
Yeah, it's Chernabog and Belobog. It literally means
Yeah.
it literally means white god, black god. Like,
Yeah,
it's just
white god,
it
black god. That's
it,
it.
oh,
Hey, your model's here.
we're here. The models are here.
Yeah.
Yours
okay.
is still
Let me
loading
fix
for
it really
me,
quickly.
but
But I can get this set up.
yes, I saw it pop up on your Twitch stream. Move me. Oh,
Yep.
hold up. Can
Yeah,
you
I'll
move me?
make you bigger.
You've disappeared off your stream, I think.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, organize me any way you like. My chat's always also on the right. So.
Yeah. Generally, I'm just trying to make our heads the same size.
Oh, that's gonna struggle
Yeah.
because I've realized after collabing with a few people, my head is abnormally big. In
It's
proportion.
a little, isn't it?
I don't
Okay,
know
we'll make
why.
your head a little bigger.
Maybe.
There we go.
Maybe
Our
it's,
shoulders are the same size.
yeah.
We're
Maybe
good.
it's the bob. Maybe it's the bob makes my head look bigger. It looks proportional when
My
it's
head
just
is a
me.
lot smaller than yours, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like it's
Yep.
proportional when it's just me, but when it's somebody else, it's the ears and the bob that makes it just ginormous.
I have two sets of ears.
Hey, we don't judge ears in here. We're all good.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm recording these to post on YouTube later if you don't mind. But I usually do
Yeah,
that.
no problem. Go for it.
Great, amazing. I'll just wait till your model loads and then I can arrange things.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's. Sorry, you were finishing your introduction about sort of being a
Yeah, so-
classics scholar.
Yep. So I have backgrounds in classics. I also was an actor for a while, so I have that. I guess 10 years.
You're
Something like that.
hold up. You're an actress?
Was. Don't do it anymore.
Okay,
Don't
like
like it.
like
Yeah.
stage or film?
Both.
Oh.
Yeah. It's actually
And-
where I met my husband when we were studying
Ah.
as actors.
Amazing.
Yep.
Did you do any like famous plays / musical / whatever it is you did? Or
I was in Broadway. I was always indie everything, so like regional theater and indie movies.
nice.
TV pilots that never actually saw the air. So it would be fairly hard. And like little, indie horror movies are probably the only place anyone would ever track me down, but I'm not sharing that part.
Oh no, yeah. There's always part of your 20s when
Yeah.
you're like, that's cringe. Stop.
Well, it's
Nope.
less that, and it's more that like I VTube because I got really sick of being cast because of how I looked,
Mm.
which is why I'm not face streaming.
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to keep the two worlds as separate as possible
No, fair enough.
because
Yeah.
I don't want people watching me as a VTuber because of how I look in real life.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, my reasons for VTubing, because again, we can start talking about this and then just carry on yapping, you know?
Yeah.
I don't have a plan for this. No structure, just like my thesis. But basically, I started VTubing. It's actually a funny story. So I started Twitch streaming in 2022, and I had the bare bones game and face cam thing. And the reason I did it was because it was just after COVID. We kind of could go out, but it was like touch and go. And
Yeah.
I was very depressed. I just finished my PhD. I struggled a lot. And then I was like, I moved to a new city. I still had friends there, but like, I don't know. I was like, okay, every day from work, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna play Genshin in Russian. Also the fact that like, not to get political or anything, like that was the time kind of the escalations in Russia has happened. And I couldn't I could call my family, but I can't go visit them. So I was like, it was the state of mind of like, oh man, at least I can like talk Russian online, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, let me start streaming. And I started with like stream elements, no chat on screen, like very bare bones. And then about a year later, my friend saw me streaming and he really wanted to do it, so he got into VTubing and he started streaming as a VTuber. And then I saw him and I was like, oh my god, I want a model. So I kind of rebranded as a VTube streamer. But I do like D&D streams with webcam, mostly because as a DM, I rely a lot on hand gestures and facial expressions. So I feel
Yeah,
like
that
with the
makes sense.
model, there's a little bit of a struggle doing that.
Unless you want like 3D or something.
Oh my
Oh
god.
god.
Like somebody
I'm sorry.
totally redeemed this. They're like
I got a
so
Valley Girl
freaking
redeem on my stream,
awesome.
which means I'm gonna have to try to
Uh-huh.
speak like a Valley Girl for like a minute. So I apologize in advance. This is going to suck. Oh my god.
That's really funny.
I know. Like, I try to get into voice acting, but it's like totally not happening. Oh my god, I think your model just loaded. Give me a second.
Wait, did my
Okay.
model finally load in?
It
Yeah, my
finally
model's
loaded
a
in.
little-
I think it's the
My
tail.
model fried my old computer, so
Yeah, it's
I
because
am sorry for
your
that.
tail is so fluffy and beautiful. It's just like
Isn't it?
it's just destroying my frame rate. Can I move
I
you?
can put the
How does
tail
that
down
work?
if it's a problem.
No, it's fine. It's fine now. But how do I move you? Like,
Oh, you just like first you have to
Oh,
set it so you're allowed to
you
move.
control
so
the
go into
position. Okay,
yeah, make it so you can control the position.
There
and
we
you can move
go.
around where you're going.
there we
Yeah.
go, sweetie. It's because your tail will basically probably. Oh, how do I move models back and forth? Is there a way? Oh god. How do I put me in front? Is it back?
I don't think you can. So
Oh,
I
no.
can get rid of my tail.
No, don't worry.
Are you sure? I
Yeah.
usually put it down if I'm streaming with other people because
Yeah, it just goes over the face, and you're
it
like,
gets in
there you
people's
go.
faces.
There
yeah.
you go. Oh, there you go. Very pretty.
My
Okay.
tail's for my own streams and nobody else.
Yeah. I mean, it's gorgeous. Okay. I think the Valley
The
Girl.
tail's well, it's not detachable here.
Yeah.
It's just down below now. I put it down.
Great. I think we are
Yeah.
finally professional, ready to go. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got into VTubing. But yeah, in my case, the only reason I did it is because I was like, wait, I can be an elf? My eternal
yeah.
dream. I can be an elf? Oh, okay. Hold my beer. I'm becoming an elf. And that was literally the only reason. Like there was no other. I don't care. I mean, it's easier as well because when I come from work disheveled and tired after spending an hour in the underground, I'm like,
Yeah.
this is great. I don't have to put makeup on.
It's amazing.
It's so
No.
much. During marathons, I just get out of bed in my pajamas, come up to my stream, and go. It's fantastic.
Oh, see, I have to do a little bit because, like, to keep my voice in good standing, I always make sure that I shower in the morning to, like, steam everything up and make sure that it's all in good condition. So I never stream before I shower.
Fair. I'm
But
kind
other
of
than
a
that-
I'm a night shower myself. I don't know. It's like I need to just wash the day off before I go to bed because I can't fall asleep if I'm like, you know.
For my voice, I definitely.
Yeah.
I think I mostly became a day shower, a morning shower. Sometimes I'll do both, but like, just to like get my voice in good condition, because I've been doing it for so long. I don't voice act, but like as an actor, warm ups and all of that, and taking care of my voice, I got so used to it. So I'm definitely always a morning shower, and sometimes like maybe like a nice relaxing bath. Oh, you can't see the stuff that my stream is throwing at us.
I
have redeemed.
can bring up the stream. Oh yes, I
You
have
got
a
a cake in your face, and I
cake
got a
in my
piece
face. I'm just gonna have it
Yeah.
on the side because it's just funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so ow, I just got
and then
flowers
my
thrown
final
at me.
degree is astronomy, but it's a minor, so it's
I'm
not,
sorry.
like, a
Okay,
big
hold
one.
up. How do you have 3 degrees? How did that happen?
I like lots of things. This is why I don't have a master's. I have a bachelor's in classics with a minor in astronomy.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have a completely separate acting degree from a conservatory.
Mm-hmm. How long did it take you to get
It's
all of that?
Well, okay. So after I finished high school, I went to university for a little while, realized I didn't know what I wanted to do, took a year off, went and hung out with my aunt, who's a Hollywood editor, to check out if I liked film stuff. Got to go on vacation to like Italy and Greece to check out ancient classical stuff, and then also got to go to some local observatories to check out astronomy stuff to try and decide like which one to focus on. And I ended up focusing on media arts, so film first at actual university, and then I realized that I'd prefer acting, so I then went to a conservatory for acting, which is where I met my husband. And then I acted for 4 years, and then I went back to university to get a degree in classics. My intention with that was actually to get a master's in acting afterwards for like extra training. But then COVID happened,
Oh,
and a
yeah.
master's in acting during COVID was completely useless. Because, like,
Yeah.
you can't do an acting degree distance.
Yeah. I got lucky.
So then everything just kind
Sorry.
of changed after that. But yeah.
No, that's cool because like I got lucky
So it
with
took a long time.
yeah, I got lucky with mine, which is kind of weird. Because I sort of did my high school in Jordan, so Middle East, and in there we had like you basically had two options. You either did the local exams and never saw the light of day, never left Jordan, married and died in the same city you lived in, or you went to a school that like private school that provided like SATs or A levels or IB. I did International Baccalaureate, which is like a big school exam, and then your entire life hinges on that one final exam you have in your year 12. And if you mess it up, your life's over. If you succeed,
wow.
you get out of Jordan. Never come back. Just never look back. Just get
Wow.
out. And so I was lucky. I had the latter, but obviously I had to apply for degrees that were like I would get a visa because I'm sorry, like I loved like art as in drawing. I was obsessed. I was like fully drawing full manga like in chemistry class. But I was also really good at like chemistry and biology and all the math. Math was super easy. I was like, damn, this is the easiest thing I've ever done. And so like I don't know, I didn't know what to do. But that's the problem. If you're too good at I know if you're too good at everything in high school, you just can't decide.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah. My parents are both doctors, so I was like, hey, med school, I guess, or something. They always need doctors. I didn't get into any med schools because I had no experience, and I'm like, this is very weird. How you, as a 17 underage girl in Middle East, get experience in a hospital? They're not gonna let you in.
Like, you couldn't get into pre-med?
Sorry? No, there's no
Do they
such
not have-
yeah, there's no such
Oh,
thing
you
as
don't
pre-med
have
in the UK.
pre-med.
You just get straight into med like you on a degree to become a doctor. So but on the application you can apply to 5 universities only. And 4 of them can be med school and 5th of them has to be something else cuz in case you don't get into any med
Okay.
schools. And my 5th one was molecular biology, which I was like, "Hey, I'll do that and then I'll do a master's and then go into medicine." Worst
Yeah,
case
that would
scenario.
work.
And then I didn't get into any med schools and got into that one. And then in my second year of molecular biology, I encountered something called structural biology, which is based, in a nutshell, it's using big microscopes that use electrons instead of light to be able to look at atoms and basically
yeah, nice.
dissect, electron microscopy, dissect bacteria,
I
dissect
love that. You use it for astronomy, too, you know that?
yeah. They use it for material sciences too. It's a very
Yeah.
useful instrument. So basically, I was like, wait, you can look at biological samples frozen in ice and like solve the structure down to an atom. Sign me the heck up. And I was like, right, there we go. Screw med school. That's what I'm doing. And then kind of from then, I somehow like I managed to tailor my entire work experience to the point where I've never left the field. Like since second year of undergrad. When I was 20,
Wow.
I've been in some sort of structural biology or biophysics or kind of, that related field until now. Where I don't know whether it was like at this point I'm tired of it. Like at this point I love it, but it has its own problems. But yeah, it's kind of like I having such a one-track mind in a way. It's fascinating to me how like cuz I think universities in the UK, depends on what course you have. Because in my course, I only had 10 free extra credits, so I couldn't really get like a minor in anything. It's like you're a molecular biologist or biochemist, you're a biochemist. All of your lectures, all of your labs are biochemistry related. You ain't got time for, I don't know,
Yeah.
literature. But no,
You're same.
yeah.
Sciences, you don't get minors.
Yeah, but I loved, like, I read on the side all the time. Like, I would go crazy if I only did. Like, I know people in science who are really annoying, who are just live and breathe science. They don't do anything else. And I just sit there and I'm like, I can't do that. I like science, but I also like these 10 billion other things that I want to get into. But science doesn't let me do that on my spare time, because
Yeah.
no spare time. Anyway, but yeah, it's a fascinating journey. So, I wonder, because, astronomy and the classics are kind of related.
They're super related, yeah.
I was like, so I was wondering whether the idea for the astronomy came from the classics or the classics came from love of astronomy.
I don't know. As a kid, I was reading like astrophysics books and myth books.
I was just
They
reading
just
myth
they
books.
were they were around my house. Like
Oh,
my
cool.
happy, calm book that would like make me feel if I was stressed out, I would
Mm.
go grab The Universe in a Nutshell.
Oh, that's cool.
That was my like relax in the bath book when I was little.
Wow. I mean,
So
yeah.
both at the same time. I don't think
Hey,
there was a first.
if it works, it works, you know? I've kind of somehow stayed, like, I like science, but physics? I don't know. Something like I can
I
watch
love
sci-fi series.
physics.
I can listen like I can listen to a lecture on planetary like evolution and understand it, but then immediately like I could listen. I think at some point when you're a scientist, you learn this thing of like you can listen to and you know enough basic knowledge to listen to any lecture and vaguely understand it, but
Fair.
I don't know, there isn't like an expertise on my end. And then there'll be parts where it's like if somebody goes too technical, I'll be like, okay, you lost me. Um, but yeah, so I guess I'm more biology related. But no, I mean, since Honkai, I was like, yeah, I think I'm excited to to watch some like
Yeah.
planetary evolution stuff. Like that's pretty dope. Um,
I always loved sci-fi. All
yeah.
growing up, sci-fi was like my favorite genre.
Mm.
I even wrote, so at my high school, we had to write 30-page theses in order to graduate
Mm-hmm.
from high school. So I did mine on like the way that science fiction has influenced modern society. So
Oh.
things like inspiring iPhones. At the time,
Oh
iPads
yeah.
hadn't been invented yet, but
Yeah.
things like flip phone phones and the Star Trek flippy phone thingy and like the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
different things that had
And the iPad
inspired
in Star
different.
Trek.
Well, the iPad wasn't around yet. It hadn't been
No,
invented.
but what I mean is like Star Trek
But yeah,
was like the iPad.
Star Trek. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the things I was like, this is. So my teachers called me crazy for that actually. So I wrote my thesis, and part of it was like, we'll definitely see something like the pads from Star Trek sometime soon in the future. And like that'll never happen. You're crazy. You're like dreaming, and you need to get your head back in reality a little bit. And like 2 years later, the iPad was announced, and I was just like,
Well, you
okay,
told them. You told them.
yeah, yeah.
I think I had a what was my because our school also had it wasn't like a thesis, it was called like a literature review that you had to do as a part of your course and you did it over summer. And I decided like everybody I know did mine did theirs on like Lord because it had to be on English literature. So it was like something on Lord of the Rings or I don't know, like very famous or The Hobbit or the Harry Potter series, and you had to like basically analyze and bring look at the literary language and the impact of the books and all of the big review essay.
Mm-hmm.
I was like nah, that's boring. You know what I'm gonna do? I stumbled upon an Edgar Allan Poe poem,
Oh, I love
or like a
Agatha
short poem, I think
Which
called
one?
Doppelganger or something. I don't know
I
if you
don't
know
know
about
that
that
one.
one. It's an obscure one. And then I was like, I remember something from my days in Russian like Russian school. And apparently Dostoevsky has a short story that's not called The Doppelganger, but has a similar theme. And to the point where those two stories are near identical. After I read them, I was like, are you kidding me? These two have never met. They lived around the same time. But the way the main character behaves to basically the story is main character depressed white man in city. Life falling apart around him. And suddenly, somebody new appears who looks exactly like him, who keeps acting like him, and tries to take over his life. And for him, that life goes better. And the main character is always in denial. Like, no way he's like exactly like me. There's no way. And then there's a moment where the doppelganger is sleeping, and the main character with a candle comes up to their sleeping face, and finally it hits them. Oh no, this is a complete copy of me. And from then on, the stories diverge. Like, the characters behave in different ways. And so I wrote a thesis about explaining, like, the way the characters behave differently is because of the different background of the two depressed writers. Even though they were both depressed and lived around the same time, because the background in the society and, like, their personal history was so different. And I wrote it, like, as the Russian pessimistic vibe beats Edgar Allan Poe's pessimistic vibe. But yeah, it was, like, that kind of including historical background, including what's lost in translation from Dostoevsky. It was a great essay. I enjoyed writing it, and I think it got like top 50 essays of that year across IB. across like my
Nice.
my graduating thing. I was surprised. I was like, it was a passion project simply because like half of my class did stuff on Lord of the Rings, and I was like, there's just so much. I mean, it's a wonderful series of books, but there's just so much you can dissect, right? You want something fresh. And I found like, oh, because I speak both languages and I can read in both languages, this is something cool that from my school only I could do. So I could get a good grade. Just by
Yeah.
default. Just by the
Oh,
fact that
that's
it's unique
great.
enough. But yeah. Yeah, fun times. Fun times. So I wanted to ask if you have any questions about like Russian mythology.
Oh, yeah.
Because I heard on your
Russian
stream you had some questions. I'm not
Oh,
sure
I
if
was
I
just
can help
asking
you,
chat
but
if we got
yeah.
any specific questions. But yeah, without like spoiling Nodcry, that's a little harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Bellabog stuff, we usually look it up.
I mean, that's what I usually do. But I have a fun story for you. I have a fun fact.
Yeah, go for it.
So, you know, you probably have heard of Baba Yaga. That is a creature
Yes, of
that's been
course.
used a lot in a lot of like US horror films and like other things.
Yeah.
So Baba Yaga comes from, it's not a, like, what do you think Baba Yaga is? I want to know your opinion
Oh, I've
first.
heard so many different stories.
Yeah.
I've seen the ones where it's like the same as Bloody Mary, and then also the ones where like an old hag that don't say its name or it'll come and get you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those are mostly the versions I've heard.
Right. So the real version is actually just crazy because there we have a bunch of like I would say similar to Greek myths. There's like Slavic myths. There's but they're veiled as fairy tales, like very bloody, very gruesome fairy tales that we as kids used to watch, like Brothers Grimm kind of level. Instead of Disney, we would have hand-drawn cartoons of this nightmare, and it's beautiful because it's beautiful and grotesque at the same time. But I digress. So Baba Yaga is a recurring character in quite a few of these stories. There's always, and I've noticed there's a trend for these stories. There's always a magical princess who is in trouble or is cursed or is kidnapped by an undead lich. And there's the main character is always an idiot. He's always a bumbling idiot who the only
Main
reason
characters tend to be that way.
yeah, the only reason he saves the princess is because the princess is herself is like, oh my god, I can't believe this idiot came to save me, but I feel so bad for letting him die, so let me use my magic powers to help him save me and make him think he's the hero. That is the majority of the Russian fairy tales. And I sit there and I'm like, this is a very interesting social commentary on the Russian state of mind. Okay. But on the lore note, Baba Yaga is a recurring character, and she is basically a witch, a hag witch that lives in the woods, and she likes to eat people. She's a cannibal, okay? She mostly likes to eat children a lot, okay? Children are delicious. And the reason is because the more children she eats, the longer she prolongs her life. So it kind of, that's how it works. Her signature things, in different stories is different things, but the main part is she flies in this, like, she doesn't use a broom, but she does use a broom for steering. Like, she doesn't use it like in Harry Potter. But she still uses a broom, which I think, I don't know why.
Like a rudder, kind of?
Yeah, she kind of uses a broom
she
like a
can fly on
rudder.
her own,
But she flies in this, we call it stupa, and I do not know what it is in English. It's something where they used to, like, keep, either churn butter or something, or keep brooms. It's like an old wooden, I would say it's like an old wooden...
Oh.
You know what?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Let me check.
I feel like we call it similar.
All right, let me translate it from Russian and then see if I know what it is in English. So,
I think it starts with an S here too.
yeah. There you go. Mortar. So it's like a mortar and pestle. So she flies in a mortar, but like a huge mortar and a wooden one, and she steers using a broom. I don't know how it works, but it does. And she can totally fly through the sky. She's an immortal witch, and her house is basically a wooden shack on chicken legs. And usually it's like, it's up in the sky, you can't get there. And if you want, like, you know what's surprising? The Witcher got the chicken house really well in season 2 for Baba Yaga. I was like,
oh, that's fun.
Oh shit! And like when they said the poem of like chicken, like there's a roughly translated, it's like chicken house, turn around, you're back to the forest and you're face to me, and that's how you gain entrance into the house. And then, like, in The Witcher, they actually said it like an English poem version of it. That's, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but it sounded very similar, and I was just so satisfied. But that is something
It's really
like,
fun.
yeah, that goes through the stories. But the main part of her is, in one of the stories, she's completely unhinged. She's like god level. The four horsemen of apocalypse are just her dudes. Like the four horsemen of apocalypse in Slavic culture are like morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Like they're four riders on four different horses, and they kind of return every day. And they are servants of Baba Yaga, so she basically controls the time of day. And I find her attitude is she isn't like a scary monster that comes get you. She just lives in her wood, right? As long as you don't trespass, she doesn't want to deal with you. Problem is, if you start trespassing, oh, she's not gonna just eat you. She's gonna play with you first. She's gonna give you impossible tasks to complete, and if you don't complete them, she'll eat you. But if you do, she'll let you live. And so
Kind of fun.
yeah, no, it's kind of fun because she's like just a recluse old lady, old goddess basically. People just show up to her house, and she's like, "Alright, how am I gonna mess with you today?" And there was a story about this like young girl, whose mother was a white witch, but she passed away, and like the girl was bullied by her stepmother, the standard story, and she was sent into the woods to get like fire because for some reason they couldn't keep the fire in the house, and she's like, "Yeah, there's a shack in the woods. Go get some like fire to start it up." I don't know why. So they wanted her gone, and they knew the Baba Yaga was in the woods, and she like went and accidentally ran upon this Baba Yaga, and the Baba Yaga would make her do impossible things like, "Oh, here's a bunch of coal and a bunch of grain. You have to separate like 5 kilograms of each, one by hand, before sundown, and it's already evening." You know, like things like this. But because she had like a magical doll that her mom gave her, she managed to finish all the work. And Baba Yaga's like, I made a vow, so I can't kill you, so I'm gonna have to give you another task that's difficult. Eventually, after a few rounds of this, Baba Yaga was just like, how are you doing this? You're just like a 9-year-old girl. How? This is some high magic shit. And then the girl is like, "Oh, there's this dolly that my mom gave me." And Baba Yaga, you'd think as a villain, she'd be like, "Oh, I'll kill you." She looks at the dolly and says, "Wait, your mama was a witch? Yeah, get out of my house. Get out. Nah, I'm not eating you. This is bad juju. I'm not eating another witch's kid. There is rules for this." And she's like, "Why are you here in the first place?" And she said, "Oh, my evil stepmother sent me here." She said, okay. I'll help you deal with your evil stepmother because, you know, bad karma, don't want to keep it in my house. Here's a skull on a stick. Just bring it to your house. Your mom asked for fire? Bring it to your house." The girl takes the skull on a stick, goes to her house, opens the door. The skull evaporates her parents with laser eyes. And then, her evil stepmother and evil stepsisters are dead. Her father's like a merchant who's never at home, who's like, busy doing something else. He's not back yet. And the girl is like, "Oh, okay, cool. Story over. You won over the real villains." But Baba Yaga's always this like a scary entity, but the one you can bargain with. I don't know if there's anything similar in like, I guess in Greek myths there probably would be, right? Like they're inherently kind of evil, like they eat people. But if you know how to
that's
bargain.
The thing. So in the Mediterranean, eating people was never allowed. Cannibalism, if there was any character that did it, they were punished severely.
Well, I meant not specifically cannibalism. I meant more like, this character where in every other story they'd be the baddie. But here it's like, I know she's kind of evil, but she's not like going out of her way to destroy towns and stuff. She just lives in her little bog, and if people come to her bog, that is their own mistake.
I mean, like Cersei, maybe.
Yeah, she's got that Cersei energy, but Cersei has a reason for being that way.
Yeah.
Like a good reason.
They all have reasons. That's the thing, because like Greek mythology, Greek gods, they were meant to be not perfect. None of them were supposed to be perfect. They all do tend to have bad backstories if they're going to be any kind of villainous. And also, like, most of the good ones were villainous. So there's not a lot of, like, solid good or solid evil. Like, realistically, Athena's probably one of the biggest villains by our modern villain standards, but she's still considered a hero. all of the men, like Hercules, if you actually look at the stories, Hercules, Jason, most of the actual heroes would be full-on villains by modern standards.
Mm. No, but that applies, I think,
I
to
think-
any mythology, really.
Well, not necessarily, because like Perseus is still full-on a hero, even by modern standards.
Good to know.
Yeah, Theseus, Hercules, really bad. Perseus, good by modern standards and by ancient standards. The same thing if you go like with the Iliad and the Odyssey characters, like Achilles, Odysseus, all villains, but like the Trojans were definitely heroes by our standards.
Mm.
So there's a lot of complexity, and I mean it is from a bunch of different cultures, because like that area, they're borrowing from Phoenicians and all sorts of things as well. So it's a little bit all over the place. But yeah, that kind of character that like you would assume is a villain, but you understand their reasoning, that's kind of all the heroes.
I guess the only other vibe from my bare bones knowledge of Greek mythology, again, would be, you know, one of the three fates? Like the old one? I don't know what her name is.
Yeah.
The three sisters of fate. What are they called?
I mean, they don't really do that much.
Yeah,
all
but
they do is measure the thread.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get mad at them for cutting the thread, but they're not the ones who decide.
Yeah, no, this one is... I feel like it's... I was thinking of something like an under... Yeah, no, I don't think I can find an alternative, but I just found it funny, because she makes an appearance in multiple stories. Baba Yaga, I mean. And then there's, like, modern reinterpretations. There's a modern cartoons. And even movies that Russia still produces about, like, based off of the fairy tales. And Baba Yaga is in every single one of them, in some shape or form.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time, like, she's never the villain. She's always the cranky old woman who has got super magical powers, who the main characters have to go ask for a favor. And she's like, hey, I'm not gonna give you a favor that easily, boy. You gotta do stuff for me. Mow the lawn. And he's like, oh, come on. It's like, you have to. It's like, it's a bog. What do you mean? It's like, exactly. If you don't do it, I don't tell you. She's more of a trickster kind of character.
Well, I mean, trickster gods, yeah. There's definitely trickster gods across all mythologies.
I guess, yeah, she's more of that.
So that'd be the closest to, like, Hermes or someone along those lines. Hermes, Dionysus. More along those lines. But
I mean...
still, I don't think it's really the same. I think you'd do better, like, with something like Loki from Norse mythology.
I think she has that Loki vibe, but I guess she's a little... I feel like Loki, though, he gets himself... I mean, from, again, my bare knowledge, he gets himself involved in a lot of situations, rather than kind of...
getting involved by other people, yeah.
Yeah, so he, like, a lot of stories I've heard, and, like, you know, from passing, are like, oh, Loki decided he wanted this, or Loki decided he wanted to do this. Baba Yaga is mostly like, she was just staying put, and then people wandered on her property. Which kind of is more similar to Cersei. Like, she's on her island, enjoying her best life, and then this bunch of men show up. And Cersei ain't having that.
Get rid of them, yep.
No, Cersei ain't having any of that, which, respect, to be fair. And again, I feel like, you know, your house is your castle. It's true.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Hades maybe, but like he's a really good chill dude and he's not really gonna make you pay for much.
I find so actually I had some questions about Hades. So I've been quite interested about his myths, because my first introduction to Greek mythology, apart from that book, was Xena the Warrior Princess, which I know is not lore accurate, but it was so satisfying.
Actually, Xena's one of the best lore accurate.
Oh, really? I loved it. It was so good.
Yes,
it was so good.
Thing.
And
portrayals are significantly better than most modern mythology
I need to rewatch that. That was a great show. I feel like I just love Lucy Lawless. She's great.
Ares is pretty much spot on perfect.
Yeah. And I find like Hades as well, like the entire Hades thing about him stealing Persephone, like that was, I think I remember that episode. And even he approached...
I don't remember the episode there.
I think he might have approached either Ares or Xena to like, please understand that I'm in love with her and she wants to stay, but her mother won't let us. Like, nothing personal. This is just how it is.
So that's technically not really accurate.
Yeah, well,
that's more of a modern interpretation. The story of that one, so Hades falls in love with Persephone. He does it the right way. He goes to Zeus, her dad, and asks for permission to marry her, and Zeus gives him permission to marry her. So he has that permission, but we assume that you need the person's permission to marry them now. So
Yeah.
him kidnapping Persephone seems bad to us now. In the time period, you just needed the father's permission, so Hades got the father's permission. And I assume the kidnapping was to avoid Demeter, because Demeter is a very protective mother. And in most stories, the old ones at least, there's never a version of like Persephone wants to stay, so she eats the pomegranate. It's usually a mistake. Yeah, so the interpretation that like Persephone was super in love with Hades, that's why she chose to eat the stuff and stay there, is a modern version to make it like a fun little love story.
But I mean, like, you know, I find this is why I like, at least the original Slavic tales, like, obviously have been told, you know, word of mouth. Same thing with Norse mythology. It hasn't really been OG written down properly. And so the stories change from, like, because I think I also, sorry, my mind is jumping all over the place, but I read somewhere that for some reason Poseidon at some point was also the god of the dead, or like there was some sort of a weird intersection between Poseidon and Hades at some point, like way before the finalization of modern Greek myths.
Well, there's not. Okay, so what Greek mythology is like, the best way that our professors would explain it to us is essentially, if you know anything about like the MCU, or just Marvel, not the MCU, but like Marvel in general, or DC, either the comic books, how there's like a bunch of different versions of all the different characters. So Greek mythology is a lot like that. So there's not like one canonized specific version. In older Greek mythology, Zeus is decently respectful to women, which is not what you would expect.
Yeah.
Based on what you see later on. The raping of women really came in with the Latin tellings of Zeus. So the Romans are the ones who really decided that Zeus was going to be a problem. So there's all these changes that happen, and you got to remember, like, this time period spans, the Iliad and the Odyssey were written down in 800 BC versus like Athens is, I think it's like 3 to 500 BC, so it's at least 300 years later than that.
Yeah.
So like one of the main things, which is a really interesting topic to bring up, but so Athens was heavy into male relationships, more so than anyone else. So a lot of times, if there is a specifically gay interpretation of something, it came from Athens, because they were putting their own spin, like we do with everything. You put your modern spin, you want to make your way of life the right way that everything was. You go back and you look at mythology and you interpret it in your way. So like the whole thing with Achilles and Patroclus, nothing in the originals. That is just made up by Plato and his contemporaries, because they were trying to rationalize the act of pederasty, which was the thing where like 20-year-old men would have teenage partners to like teach them about life and everything, including sex. So they decided to do that with Achilles and Patroclus, even though in the originals Achilles has 2 female partners, lovers, and soulmates. So they like reinterpret it. Yeah, it's not one that a lot of people know, because these days a lot of people get really upset if you say anything about Achilles not being specifically gay. But it is not in the original.
I
that
find
was
like
something added in way later.
I find like most myths, the reason they are myths is because, well, they might have been at some point rooted in some sort of an actual event, but they are ultimately a story, right?
Kind of. We know some of the real stuff with Greece, though. That's the thing. So, like, we do have Troy we found. We know there was a battle there. We know that battle actually happened. We don't necessarily know how much of the mythology is truth, how many of those real people there were, but we also have gravestones with the names of a lot of the heroes, including the gods. So there's an island, what's it? Linear A and Linear B are these 2 languages found, I think it's on Crete, but I can't remember. It's Crete or Cyprus. It's one of the islands. Tiles in these 2 languages, right? We've been able to read one of them, we haven't been able to read the other, but there are a lot of historical records on those tiles about a king named Zeus, and like a lot of the gods.
No, but that's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant. They're based off of real things, but like, I'm sorry, there isn't a man with a head of a bull walking around. Like, you know, there's things like this where you're like,
well,
He might be
Yes,
wearing a bullhead mask, but he's not actually half bull. That's not a thing that could happen.
But that's where you've got to like take the interpretations in.
Yeah.
So like we know at this point in time that they thought cyclopses were real because they'd found the skulls of pygmy hippopotami.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they interpreted those as you see. If you've seen a skull of of a hippopotamus skull, you know that it has like a single hole in the center. It was hippopotamus or rhinoceros. I can't actually remember which one it is. So
I know elephant skulls also have a hole in the middle for the trunk, and if you like,
they had elephants close enough though.
yeah.
Where
No, I was
the
just
other
saying,
two
like, because
were
I've seen
close
some
enough.
elephant skulls,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's a weird hole. Oh yeah, that's for the trunk.
Yep. Yeah, so they'll find things. They'll find like remains of things. So the likely thing with something like that is they're either it's a symbolic thing because like that's on Crete. So Crete, it was really important. Bulls were exceptionally important to them. So they just come up with like a minotaur because you want to put the two things you loved most together, humans and bulls, and it becomes symbolism and things along those lines. Or like with the skulls, they find remains. They could have found the remains of a human and a bull skull all in one place from possibly a much earlier civilization that may have also worshipped bulls as well and then buried their important people with skulls, something like that. So there's a lot of reasons why these would have come in. Of course, they're not like literally walking around with bulls.
Yeah,
skulls,
but
they
no,
may
my
have
only
actually believed it at the time.
my only point was, it's like you have to take it with a like it's interpretive, and so generally, whenever I see an interpretation, a modern interpretation, or an older interpretation of something, or I'm not read the original text, if there even is an original text for whatever this is, but I tend to like when it comes to the ancients in general across the world, because I've also recently been getting a lot into like ancient Chinese, like not mythology, but like they have a lot better way of like recording the history comparatively to like Europe at the same time. However, it's also extremely biased because again, the winner writes the history, right? But I found like I just assume if there's an ambiguity, whether did they have female partners, male partners, I'm like, they were poly, and in my head they were poly, and I'm like, whatever, it's fine, I'm not gonna fight with anyone around this. Both of these things can be right and both of them can be wrong. I don't care, I'm just here for the story. So I sort of like I divulge myself of the argument by doing that. I'm like, cool, they could have had this, they could have had that, we don't know, but I'd like to think.
Well, there's some places where they do actually write it down, though. I don't know if you know about the legal code of Hammurabi. The ancient Egyptians also had a lot of like really specific stuff. Generally, how it worked, like you wouldn't marry someone of the same sex as you because there's no point in that. Marriage was literally only there for like legitimate heirs. So the reason that there was a lot, not necessarily poly, because you weren't usually in a group in ancient Greece, except I don't know. Socrates maybe a little bit, but he was just kind of a man whore.
Yes. Okay.
There's really.
I don't know much about Socrates, but the one thing I now know about him, he's a man whore. Let's go.
Yeah. If someone wanted a like who probably was the best at sex throughout history, it's probably Socrates, considering everything that went down with him.
Yeah, Kratos did kill everyone. Indeed.
He just
off every
had
single.
Well, Socrates. So the deal with Socrates, he probably didn't sleep with any of the women, but he slept with like every male in Athens, except for a few he turned down. He didn't really have his own house. He just kind of like couch surfed with the guys he was sleeping with.
Oh God. This reminds me, oh God, I've watched this, I mean, this is not a very good source, I'm so sorry, but I've watched this, like, YouTube short about apparently this Byzantine, like, monk who, like, girl boss gatekeeped his way to being, like, one of the Byzantine emperors, but he would, like, there was a record of him, like, sleeping both with the king, and, like, the king had him marry, like, his ex-wife or like his future wife or something. I was like, this is a weird relationship, but I'm into it. This is interesting. But yeah, no, I mean, this is sort of the case of sometimes it's done for power, sometimes it's done for pleasure, but it's always like there's always like even like until very recently in China, there's always been this like the idea of polygamy in a way, like there's a principal wife, the main wife, the one. Well, in China it's surprising because like the main wife is the one that like actually not owns property, but like she's the only legal wife. And if, like, upon the death of the patriarch of the family, she's the one that gets everything, and her sons and daughters get everything. The concubines and the second wives and, you know, multiple other people who live in the household at the behest of the patriarch, while the patriarch is alive, may bask in whatever rewards the patriarch rewards them with. However, upon his death, you know, everything kind of shifts, and it depends on the goodwill of the male heir from the principal wife as to how they're all dealt with. At least that has been the case for, like, many centuries in, like, wealthy families. But it's always been the case of, like, you know, the marriage is there for continuation of the line. So I agree with you, like, in, like, ancient Greece and, you know, any ancient culture, and even, like, modern culture, I guess. Maybe not so much, but generally it's more of like a marriage serves a reproductive function or something. But yeah.
Yeah, there were definitely different roles. So, like, you had your wife for legitimate children, you had mistresses, and you had the brothels, male and female brothels,
Oh, yeah.
or if you wanted to have sex for fun. That was generally the, like, setup of most ancient cultures.
Mhm.
Women, of course, didn't have the same
Oh, no.
ability to
No.
just have fun.
No.
But,
No.
yeah,
Do you know the story of Wu Zetian?
I do not. I don't think.
So Wu Zetian is the first and only... Sorry, I got a follow.
Beautiful.
Oh, it scared me. Because every time I get a follow, I get, like, flowers and stuff thrown at me, and there's a very loud sound, so I get scared. But welcome to the forest. Power Bottom. Lovely name. But yeah, so in Wu Zetian is, I think, the first and only Empress of China. And she got there. There's multiple, like, ways of story how she got there, but they're, like, her story is insane. I feel like, you know, when you want drama, I always thought, hey, you have to go to Greek myths or like Roman myths. No. You want drama, you go to ancient China. Because, like, to summarize her story in a few words, she was married to one emperor of the Tang dynasty, which is around, I want to say 500 AD-ish. So, like, Tang dynasty went from, like, either 200 or 300 AD to almost 900 AD. She was married to one of them, right? And then he died. She wasn't the empress, and she got sent to a nunnery, as a lot of the concubines did in Tang. But she somehow had a fling with his son of some way, and so he managed to get her back. Like, there's multiple versions of how that happened, but she managed to get back and fight her way to become the empress of the son of the man she used to be married to. And then when he died, instead of putting her son on the throne, she said, you know what, I'm gonna do it myself. And she basically was an empress for like 20 years or something, and during that time women could hold position in government. There was a renaissance of, like, makeup and outfits, and, like, the country was doing pretty well. But the moment, like, you know, you can't really trust historical records because most of the official records paint her as this evil tyrant, and sometimes you're like, is it because she's a woman and she took power, or is it because she was one? Not to say she's a saint, but, you know, if the man did the same things she did, he'd just be said, oh, he's just a very strict ruler. For her, it's like, oh, she's the bane of the Tang dynasty. The amount of rebellion she had to put down was crazy. But, like, that entire, like, just narrative is heavily based on a lot of evidence, and, like, she even, like, they found her, like, funereal, like, not last rites, but, like, when she was about to die, she was an avid Buddhist, and she wrote, like, this inscription from the emperor to to Buddha, and to the gods above, to sort of absolve her of her sins and let her into the afterlife. So there, like, she's an actual historical figure, but, like, that story is pretty crazy. I don't know, like, I mean, definitely women did not have the same, like, the laws were written very much against them. But I feel like sometimes, like, despite all of that, there were some very interesting figures.
It always depends on the time period, though, and most of that is because the people who write the history are the ones who defeated the people in the past. It's not just women. If you know anything about Richard III, He's painted largely as a villain at this point in time because most of his stories were written by the people who were trying to disqualify his whole party from like being in rule.
Yeah.
So usually that's what happens. It's not necessarily about gender. It's more about which party won and the need to besmirch the party before you so that people don't want to run back to them. I haven't seen all that much, honestly, in studying ancient cultures where they actually did like specifically badmouth people based on their gender. It was usually just like across the board. We need to make people not want to follow the last person.
Yeah. Unless the last person was from the same party, then that's fine. Unless the last person, unless it was a hand down of power, then it's fine. But yeah, no, I found like at least the Empress Wu Zetian's story for sure was that. There's been a lot of cases of like, oh, this emperor's new concubine has been superbly like she's bewitched this man. She's evil, and you're like, has she, or did you put her in a situation where the only way to survive is to get this man's favor? I don't know. So maybe it's on you. But I feel like Wu Zetian's the only one that actually successfully got the Empress title. Like, she didn't become the most favored or the Empress. She became the Emperor. The top honcho. Which made a lot of people unhappy. I mean, to be fair, she did, like, apparently do some shady stuff. But, if you want to become Empress, you kind of have to. But, you know what, speaking of, going back to Russian history, I'm not very familiar with ancient Russian history, unfortunately, but I'm more familiar with, like, I would say, it's relatively modern, so anything starting from, I guess, Peter the Great onwards, which was same time as Louis the 14th? Like, Versailles was built.
Oh, that's really recent.
Yeah, basically. That's kind of, because, how do I put this? So Russia historically moved and I'm sure, I don't know if you know this, but they moved the capital twice. So it depends on which which Russia you're talking about, because there was the Kievan Rus and there was the Moscovian Rus, which were like the two separate, I guess, medieval countries with two separate forms of government until Peter the Great. Or like, no, until like, I think maybe the Ivan the Terrible was like the or I'm not sure which Tsar, but like when the whole like unification of the two, Moscovian and Kievan, came together. But when Russia became imperial, that's when Peter the Great sort of stepped in and turned himself from a Tsar to an emperor. It was kind of, there's a lot more historical leftovers in a way, so you could actually visit the place and like go to a local museum and read things, right? Anything older than that you kind of read from textbooks, and I've kind of missed that school period of studies of ancient Russia. The one thing I know is our first, like, the rumors are the first Tsar, his name was, I think the first Tsarina was Olga, which comes from the Viking word Helga. So we're like, are they, like, the first rulers of Russia, were they, like, just legit just Vikings who took over the place? Probably. Most likely. I'm not a historian or a scholar in this field, but there is a lot of cultural, especially with ancient Rus, references to the Norse and Viking culture. Which I find fascinating. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's lots of referential stuff across. That's one of my favorite things to study. Is it's called reception. So it's actually, I mean, realistically, Tsar comes from Caesar. So the title of ruler is going to be much more recent in Russia than it would have been from Greece and Rome, because it's just how the words work, right? So there's stuff, reception is essentially when, like, an old story, kind of what you were talking about with the two doppelganger stories. They likely both, while the two people probably didn't know each other, you can probably trace them both back to the same root story.
Probably.
So reception is largely about that, like tracing things backwards to the root stories. And you get some really cool stuff with that. One of my favorites is the connection between, I don't know if you know his Dark Materials, so like the Golden Compass. Those books.
Oh, I remember reading those in like high school. Like a vague recollection of them, but not.
The Odyssey.
Yeah. They do.
Yes, they do.
Oh.
So there's a direct line of reception back to the Odyssey. And like if you know the Odyssey, you can kind of figure out some of those pieces and where the trace is. Because That is no problem. Yeah, so it traces backwards. So, I guess tracing forward is probably easier. So you get the Odyssey, and the Odyssey inspired the Aeneid. The Aeneid then inspired Dante's Inferno, which inspired Paradise Lost, which was the inspiration for his Dark Materials. And you can see, like, the catabasis, which is the journey into the underworld. You can see it in all of those different stories. And that is one of the, like, key sticking points in all of those, is the specific style of catabasis that you have there.
Cool.
But yeah, reception is definitely my favorite thing. And it's one of those, I love tracing the stories backwards. It's definitely one of the things that we do when we're, like, playing Genshin and things, and HSR specifically, because the level of reception is insane. There's so many things like that.
Yeah, I do notice, like, what I find about Hoyo generally in games, they're very creative in making it unique enough to seem, like, it never seems 100% original, but it kind of is. You know, you can always trace the references, but the references are well-researched, but creative enough to be their own thing, which is why I like it.
The research is insane. Yeah, this is why I put Hoyo above most other companies. Because, like, as a classicist, I tend to judge stuff on... I don't mind them changing stuff as long as they prove that they know what they're doing. So, like, there's a really big difference. You can tell different types of media whether they actually read the stuff and then made informed decisions on how to change it to best fit their story, or if they just didn't bother.
Yeah.
So there are certain medias that are inspired by ancient cultures, ancient stories in general, that I have no respect for, because they very clearly know absolutely nothing about what they're doing. But then there's, like, little stuff. One of the reasons that Sailor Moon was my favorite from the beginning is they have so many little pieces of classical references that most people will never notice.
Never watched Sailor Moon.
Yeah, they have the names. I think they fight Thetis at one point in time. Obscure nymph. They also... if we've all seen Neptune, Neptune has the right color hair. I've never seen another Neptune portrayed with the blue hair. So for anyone who's not familiar, in classics there's always these epithets. So they're like these descriptions of the characters. Each character has, like, classic descriptions. Athena's is gray-eyed Athena, you've got white-armed Hera, and you have blue-haired Poseidon. Never in modern culture do they ever portray Poseidon with actually blue hair. Occasionally, there have been a few instances of it. But for the most part, they do skip these really, really important descriptors, because they're the things that, like, defined them as a character. It's kind of like their iconography. So it's like thinking about any sort of mythical figure. Think about Thor without his hammer. It's the same kind of thing of if you don't let Poseidon have his blue hair.
Let
like,
the man
there's
cook.
Really, yeah, there's these specific identifiers for mythology, and when they don't do them, you know that they didn't actually read the text, because sometimes in modern retellings, they'll leave those pieces out. Like, there's no reason Athena has to have gray eyes. If you haven't read the originals, you don't know it. A lot of the modern stuff doesn't have that, so you can tell when someone is, like, learning their mythology off of Percy Jackson, or, like, Epic, which Epic is terrible when it comes to mythology.
Yeah.
Or, like, any sort of modern thing where they completely disregard it. Or the Disney Hercules.
Oh, wait.
Absolute worst
Did somebody say, like, wasn't that just, like, an excuse to have a, like a, was it? Like a big, all the songs feel like they could be in, like, a church. You know what I mean? Like a, what are they called in the US? Like a big church choir. Gospel choir? Is that what it is?
Gospel choir.
Yeah, gospel choir. That's it. Like, but it feels like a lot of the songs have that, like, gospel choir vibe, and I'm like, I feel like Disney just wanted an excuse to do that, and they were like, oh, hey, Hercules, let's go, and just did that.
I don't know what they did. Having Hades as a villain is insane. If you've read any Greek.
Yeah, no, but I feel like, unfortunately, that's what most people get introduced to when they're kids. Like,
definitely
statistically.
Some sort of kids thing.
Yeah.
Well, you can't. Here's the thing. You cannot tell mythology to children. You just can't, because it is all rated R.
Oh yeah.
All of the real mythology.
Wait,
all of
you
the
say
old
that.
mythology.
You say that, but I mean, hey.
By like the standards that we're allowed to talk to kids about with books, with media, all of that, you can't present it to children. Teachers aren't allowed to, because you can't actually tell the real myths. So the only way a child could be exposed would be through their parents, like, actively deciding to give them the real mythology. But, like, in all of the ways a child could come across it themselves. You can't. You're not allowed to with rating systems.
Mm-hmm.
So any mythology a kid comes across, unless they have somehow snuck out to go get a book that is for adults, is going to be wrong. So I don't know why Disney thought that they could make like an ancient Greek movie, because they can't. They can't at all. There's no way to do it.
Yeah.
Especially with, like, you can't have Zeus in there. You can't have Hercules. Hercules is one of the biggest monsters in Greek mythology. Turning him into a hero is kind of weird. The same thing with Theseus. Those two are two of the most vile human beings you get stories about.
Yeah, so I'd say, like, I think I vaguely know, like, the main storyline. Like, as I said, like, imagine somebody who's read you're somebody who's read a book. I'm somebody who read the footnotes. Okay? So this is my level of knowledge. But I do recall, like, Hercules had to go, sorry, I got scared. Hercules had to go on a journey of, like, there's the 12 works of Hercules or whatever they're called. And then I know Theseus, is that the one with the Argonauts?
Jason's the Argonaut.
Jason's the
with the
Argonauts.
Minotaur.
There we go. So what is like the worst thing each of them did? Like maybe the one worst thing in the story.
Hercules, well, he was forced to slaughter his family by Hera, so we wouldn't count that
Yeah.
as his worst thing. A lot of rape, a lot of murdering people who shouldn't be murdered, generally across the board with all of these. Theseus is it's so hard. Of the three, Hercules is probably the least monstrous. Cheating on his wife repeatedly, and in a way that, like, the Greeks would think it was bad too, because most of these men would take a lover and then just abandon them.
Yeah.
Marry them, promise them things. So that's the biggest problem with Theseus. Who is it? Who's with Theseus? Sometimes I forget the specific names. There's a lot of that are really similar. Oh, Ariadne.
Oh yes, I was about to say Ariadne, but I was like,
yeah,
there were
Ariadne
probably were others. Like Ariadne's the one I know.
If you've heard the story of Theseus, you probably see them as lovers, right?
No.
She fell in love with him.
Yeah.
She was made to fall in love with him. Usually how it works is, like, these heroes are the favorites of goddesses. So the goddesses will force a woman to fall in love with them in order to help them get through their labors.
Wow. That's a shitty move.
Yeah. So that is generally how it works. I can't remember who Theseus is. Actually, I think it's Athena. I can't remember. It's been a bit. Jason, it was Hera. Hera did this to Medea.
Which is interesting, because Hera hated... Was it true that Hera hated Heracles?
Yes, because Heracles' name means glory of Hera, because it's trying to appease her and make her not hate him.
Yeah, and she was like, didn't work.
Yeah. Yep, did not work.
Which is fascinating, because, I remember, like, there was like an old 90s TV series specifically about Theseus. No, sorry, about Jason. And, like, the story that...
I think there's an Argonautica. I do think there's an Argonautica.
Yeah, there was, like, a story...
Somewhere.
No, but, like, I remember watching something of, like, Hera pretending to be an old woman and, like, asking Jason to take her across the stream, and from then she's like, yeah, I like you now. I was like, that is a very basic... What is this? Not sure. Like, I'm sure that's not right.
I don't think that's how the myth works at all.
But I mean...
The Argonautica is a little different.
Yeah, but I find, like, it's so fascinating how Hera can be a complete, like, horrible, horrible person to one. And then, oh yeah, like you're my champion, let's go. I assume that there's a lot of, like, all of these champions didn't live, in the same time period. They all lived across different time periods.
Not really. They did mostly live. There's kind of, like, 3 generations of heroes at the most. Hercules, Jason, they were all same time period. Theseus also, all of them same time period.
Oh.
Then you also have, like, the 1 generation down time period of the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly that's what you got. You have gods before that. So straight up, if you go through the Tainomachy, which is, like, the story of the beginning of time until the end of time, essentially. The Greeks did write it. Or to, like, the modern era when we don't have gods anymore. You have, like, the origin of the universe, then you go forward to when the Titans were created, then you go to the gods that we rule Olympus. You go down to the heroes, the big, like, the golden era of heroes, essentially. And then it's actually interesting. A lot of people don't know this, but the Iliad and the Odyssey are two of, I think it's 7 books. It's either 5 or 7. I always remember the specific number. But it is actually the story of how we went from having heroes to having no gods and no heroes. So, like, the full series. Yeah. So the Odyssey is the second from the last. The Iliad is the 4th from last. There's one book in between the Iliad and the Odyssey, which is actually what tells the story of Achilles' lover, who was the queen of the Amazons. So that comes in the story between the Iliad and the Odyssey. So the whole piece, and the one after the Odyssey is the Telemachy. So it's about Telemachus, who was like the final, which most people I think at this point in time know as Odysseus' son. He was the final, like, godly heir. He was the end of gods having anything to do with humans. So yeah, it's much more tight-knit time-wise than you might expect.
Oh, okay. It's not vague.
Basically 2 gens of
2
heroes
gens.
and 2 gens of gods. Maybe 3.
Because yeah, there's
like
because weren't they like the OG gods that came out of, was it Kronos? And then there were like the OG gods that came out of the Titans and then defeated the Titans, and then there was the second gen gods, which is the gods bred amongst themselves and made the second gen gods, right?
No.
No? Okay.
The original was primordials, so you have like Nyx and Nyx, Erebus. You have a couple who essentially, I'm trying to remember the name. Who was the first one? Gaia's before Rhea. Or Rhea. There's 2 earth goddesses. One of them is the one I am trying to think of. And I can never remember if Gaia or Rhea is first or second. I think Gaia's first. Yeah. So it was Nyx the night and Gaia. And then you also have chaos, which in Greek does not mean the type of chaos we're talking about. It's actually the void. So chaos means the void. Which actually, when you get to Amphoris, will make a lot more sense because you have chaos things there that are void related, which is where I love HSR so much because they like pay attention to these kind of things. But yeah, so then Gaia had her son Oceanus, I think. Sometimes I get the chronology wrong.
Hey,
anyway, she had a son and then she had all the kids with the son. All the Titan kids were Gaia and her son, were the parents. It wasn't no Oceanus. It was Uranus was the first. Yeah. Gaia and Uranus were the first 2, mother and son, and then they had all of the Titans. And then Rhea and Kronos were the pair who had all of the main gods.
Okay.
Yeah. And then those main gods had the heroes, generally at the same time.
But didn't so is my understanding correct that like the main gods, is it like Artemis and Apollo? Are they siblings? Like, I know they're all kind of siblings. Yes. But, like, weren't they all
Artemis
kids of,
and
like...
Apollo were twins.
Yeah, but weren't they, like, kids of... Was it Zeus and...
Leto.
Oh, okay. Didn't know about Leto.
Yep.
But wasn't there, like... What I meant to say is, like, there was the first gen of gods, which are the kids of Rhea and Kronos. And then there were the second gen of gods, which are the kids of the gods with others. But they're still gods. They're not demigods. They're not heroes.
Yes. They're still the main gods, though. So if you're talking about, like, the parents, we have, like, the children of Kronos and Rhea. Those are specifically Hades, Poseidon, Zeus, Hera, Hestia, Demeter.
Yeah.
So you have, like, those, and then, yes, they have kids with others. They also will sometimes have kids with the Titans as well. There's a lot of interbreeding that then goes in with those to make a younger generation of gods, but they were all kind of considered the same main gen. So when you talk about like the main group of gods, it's considered the Olympians. So while some of them are a little older, it's actually because of the roles they play in society. Because there were specific types of roles that they all were like the stereotype for. It's why Apollo was always unlucky in love, because he was the Ephebe, the youth, who is not good at relationships. And that's why the older gods are the ones who did get married and have good-ish relationships. Basically, those with beards were considered older, mature, and capable of having relationships. And the unbearded gods, it was another symbolism thing. No beard meant that they were too young, because in ancient Greece, men were not considered mature until after 25.
Which, honestly... Oh, sorry, I got a... thought. But yeah, which, I mean... I agree with that. Before 25, your brain's just wired differently.
Well, women were considered mature at 16, but men were not considered mature until 25.
I mean, that checks. Not to diss men, but that checks. I don't think I've ever met, like, most of my friends, like, you know, I lie. My friend got married when she was 27, and her husband was 21 at the time, and they're happily married. He's a very responsible family man, and I'm like, hey, you know what? It can happen. You can have maturity at that age, but it's rare.
Oh, yeah. It was just a societal thing at the time.
Oh, yeah, no.
But yeah.
Cool. I'm learning so much. I feel like I should probably get a notebook and start taking notes.
Yeah, there's so much fun stuff. A lot of stuff people don't know. The problem is, so basically what happened was up until, I can't remember if it was World War I or World War II, classics was taught in classrooms. Most people, if you went to school, you were going to learn this stuff. Which is why if you look at like older writing, there's a lot of references, and if you don't know it, some stuff does not make as much sense. Like The Lord of the Rings makes a whole lot more sense, and even like Harry Potter makes more sense if you know classics, because both of those authors were classicists, so they worked a lot in. But after World War II, they stopped bothering teaching all of the classics in classrooms to just like your average school children, so you have to get like special degrees or go to like really high-end schools to get any of the information. And most of it, like, you can't just go pick up a book. The problem is a lot of people think they know this stuff, so they'll write books. So you unfortunately can't trust most books. You have to make sure that whoever wrote it actually has a degree in classics, because most of the information is like almost passed down word of mouth.
Yeah, it's
like
a broken telephone kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not even the broken telephone, it's just that like you don't have access to this information unless you're in a program.
Oh, are they like locked behind a paywall or something?
Yeah, I guess technically you could say that because it's locked behind getting a degree. So like the classicists pass the information down amongst the classicists. They pass the texts down along the classicists and things along those lines. So if you don't go to school for classics, you can't usually get the accurate mythology. And even if you're in a program, then like there's a lot of one of the big problems in classics, which is now being solved because we finally have Emily Wilson translating these giant, amazing texts as a woman. For a really long time, white, straight men were translating everything.
Yeah.
So they would put a different spin. Or it wasn't even that they'd put a different spin, it's that they wouldn't notice stuff. So like, a really good example of that, when I was working on translating the Aeneid for class, I was in a class of all guys, except me, even the teacher was a guy. And there's a passage that is absolutely stunning, but it has been translated, so if you read the Aeneid in English, or any other language for that matter, it's been translated as Dido, Queen of Carthage. She was forced, she's another one that Hera put a spell on to fall in love with Aeneas so that she would help him. So she had a spell put on her, and in all of the translations we have of this Latin passage into other languages, the men have interpreted it as she killed herself in the end because she was so heartsick for her lover leaving that she couldn't live without him. But what the Latin actually says is that she cursed his line and used her own death as the catalyst to create
metal.
Yeah, so like it's really different. They're two crazy different interpretations, and somehow the men just didn't pick up on the
Kill
fact
because
that
she's
she,
sad, or kill out of spite.
She killed herself. She used herself as a human sacrifice to curse his entire line.
Yeah.
But like the men are interpreting it as she was so sad she couldn't live without him anymore. And there's a lot of stuff like that. Like Medea gets mistranslated a lot in the Latin version. There's a Greek and a Latin version. In the Latin version, she is very clearly pregnant, but like she has all the symptoms of pregnancy, which is why she's so pissed at Jason for ditching her for another girl.
Is that in the Greek or is it in the Latin?
In the Latin. She has all the symptoms of being pregnant. But if you ask your like male teachers who don't have wives or children, they have no idea. They don't know what these symptoms are. They don't know, they can't pick out that she's very clearly hormonal. So they don't translate it.
So,
So
she's
like,
just irrational.
Medea's
And you're
just
like,
nuts. She's just crazy. But like, if you read it as
Bro.
a woman, you're like, oh, hey, look, PMS and pregnancy hormones. Yeah, she's gonna go a little nuts when her husband leaves her. And none of us would be mad at her for that, right?
No.
Like, it makes
Fully
more
justified.
sense. But if you have these straight white men who maybe are such big nerds they're not married, translating these texts, they're missing out on a lot of context clues.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is badass. Again, as I said, I'm learning so much. I feel like I find especially like why I like learning languages. I mean, I speak too fluently, which means I can, as I said, I can go like to the original like Russian text and stuff. Oh, there's a fun translation. In fact, I want to tell you in a second after I finish this thought.
Oh yeah, go for it.
But basically, like, I'm trying to learn as many like languages as I can so that I can actually read the originals. And like go back.
That's the best way to go.
Because a lot of the time I'm like, I just don't trust this translation. Or if I do find somebody who like clearly states like, this is a work of fiction based off of this that I read as an original, but I'm making this fiction, so don't take this as the rule. Okay, we good? Let's go. I'm like, okay, great. Then I can just enjoy it for what it is. So fun translation fact. For many, many years, Shakespeare has been taught in Russian schools. As, you know, he is the great bard. It is what it is, you know? And he has been translated in early 20th century, so pre-revolutionary Russia, by a lot of, like, old English scholars. Like, they love that kind of stuff. So, the thing about Russian poetry, which is fascinating, we barely have something that we call white prose, which is where you don't have, like, not iambic pentameter or some sort of a rhythm, and your lines don't rhyme, right? So everything has to rhyme. Like Pushkin, Lermontov, all of like the big poets I say we call classical Russia, but that's basically pre-Soviet Russia, and post 16th century. That's kind of like the cultural bit that I'm referencing, because before that, you know, we really didn't have written ways of keeping track, and it's a little bit wishy-washy. Like there's no way to certainly say that this is exactly what this person said or did or wrote, you know. But from around, you know, Peter the Great's time, it's like he made it a very big like rule to make sure to write things down, and so, you know, you get different interpretation, but still it's there's a lot more evidence for it. So basically I learned Shakespeare in school through reading Romeo and Juliet, and it was beautiful, and we had movies filmed fully in rhyme. Like they would like, they translated Shakespeare and made him rhyme in Russian while keeping all of the original like not exactly the same words, but like keeping the atmosphere and the sentence structure similar. And they kept the iambic pentameter, but they made it rhyme. And it was all the actors said it was the most easiest thing to memorize because it rhymed. So your lines, you would just memorize them right away, and you just go through with it. And I remember in school reading it, and I was like, this is great. Then I went to Jordan, where we had to read Shakespeare in original, right? Or like, you know, the simplified Old English. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, the rhythm is there, but where's the rhyme? Where's the turn of phrase that I'm so familiar with as a child that I could memorize by watching just a movie or a play once? I would memorize like certain lines, and I'm like, where is it? And I kept reading, and I was like, there must be something wrong. And I realized that all of like the Russian linguists just couldn't abide by the lack of rhyme. So they said, no, I'm gonna put my foot down and change it. And the entire like higher society of Russia at the time was going crazy for this translated Shakespeare, while not knowing that the original doesn't rhyme. Which might be like not as important, but I just found like it's a fun tidbit, because to me, like, what do you mean a poem doesn't rhyme? It's not a poem then, it's a text.
That's so funny, because over here we think of rhyming as like the lazy.
No, it's actually
untalented
super hard,
poetry.
because you want to keep.
No,
Imagine
it's so easy. Have you tried writing in meter? Like doing it with meter, specifically without rhymes, is way more complicated. Rhyming's so easy, but like getting that meter.
Yeah. But what I mean is like in Russia it was considered
meter.
It was considered like crazy because it made it so available to the masses. I think they had a big problem. I mean, at the time it was only the higher society did it. Then the revolution started. The Soviet Union was like, right, we have all this cool shit that the nobles had. And only the nobles had. And we have all of these hungry masses that now took down these nobles. But how do we not, like, instead of erasing all of like burning books and like I'm not sure if they did that. Again, there's a lot of changes, but at least they tried, like, okay, we have a Russian version of Versailles, which is the Palace of Peterhof, right, in St. Petersburg, and the Winter Palace. We have both of these. These are monuments to imperialism, right? Monuments to the oppressors we literally just took down a few years ago. But there was this understanding of, while there are monuments, and like why I know the people who lived in these places, like we needed to take them down to change their government, it doesn't mean we have to burn the building, doesn't mean that we have to destroy all of these precious works of art. Let's make them public access, you know, let's teach the masses about it. While the masses starve. But you're starving, but you're getting an education. That's kind of how it used to be. So I think there was this big boom of like, how do we make Shakespeare accessible to your average layman, right? If we translated, because I think, but honestly, I don't think it's because of that. I think it's because like one of our most famous, I would say the Russian version of Shakespeare is Pushkin. He is the most famous poet in Russia. There's others, but he is the most. His poems are learned in kindergarten. It was the first poem I've ever learned. I even still remember the first like page of that poem that I memorized. He wrote exclusively in rhyme. But the way, I think because the Russian language has a lot more adjectives and endings, and like there's a bigger turn of phrase you can do than with English, I find like rhyming sometimes is more difficult than just writing it as prose, because a lot of the time like the adjective would need to have an ending that refers to the female, like female noun, but then the next line you need to make sure the ending rhymes with something else and not the same ending, because that would be lazy, and so you have to like dig through thesaurus and be like, right, which words do I use to describe what I need to do. But yeah, so I find like because the majority of poets at the time wrote in rhyme, and very few wrote in white prose. Mostly like translated modern English poets at the time. It's like I guess Byron translated wasn't in rhyme. But yeah, it's just an observation. I mean, I was unpleasantly shocked, because I was like, yes, Shakespeare original. Oh wait, why are some sentences longer than the others? Wait, how do I memorize this? Was the first question. Like, I cannot memorize this. There's no way. My brain is wired to memorize rhyme.
Oh, see, I feel like maybe it's different though, because for us, the meter's there to help us memorize it. You don't need the rhyme, you need the meter. So like one of the reasons that Shakespeare is so easy to memorize in English is because of the meter specifically. It was written to make it easier to memorize.
Yo, I think our brains are wired differently, because I when we had to memorize Shakespeare, I struggled like I was about to get shot. And then I was like, right. And then somebody would like, I would read, you know, you'd listen to a rap that would have rhyme, and I'm like, I know this after 3 listens, let's go. They're like, how do you memorize? I'm like, dude, it rhymes. Don't even need to think about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, because meter's been used like that forever, since ancient Greece.
Yeah.
The Iliad are in dictylic hexameter, and it's there specifically to make it so easy to memorize.
Well, no, like the Russian poems do have rhythm.
Yeah.
But they also
but you
have rhyme.
You need the rhyming as well.
Yeah, because with just the rhythm, I don't know, I feel like my brain just doesn't put like, because the way it rhymes, it never rhymes the entire stanza. It's always like the first line and the second line rhyme, or the first line and the third line rhyme. That's it.
Yeah, there's different ways to do it. You can have A, B, A, B, A, B, C. There's like a different sets of ways.
I think the most common one, again, from a minimal first 6 years of school, which, you know, you teach kids the easiest versions, were A, B, then C, D, then maybe A, B again or something. And then A, B. Mm-hmm. The A, B, C, D was not very common, actually. Majority was A, B, then C, D, whatever. Or A, B, you know, that kind of stuff. So Pushkin wrote in both A, B, and then A, B, etc. And because of that, your brain, like, you remember what the sentence is about. The rhythm is easy to get. And then you're like, right. So this, if the poem is going really long, you're like, okay, I know that this goes before this, and then the next one goes before this one. So you can order them according to rhyme to help you memorize. So I can actually recite like the first paragraph if you want in Russian, the one I still remember like offhand, to see if you can catch the rhyme. У лукоморья дуб зеленый, золотая цепь над уметом. Их днем и ночью кот ученый все ходит по цепи кругом. Пойдет налево, песен заводит. Направо сказку говорит. And that's all I remember. There was 2 other rhymes, but you can see it's A, B, A, B, and then C, D, C, D.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of. But this was the easiest to memorize. Like, I memorized this when I was 4. And I've not read it since. Still in there.
Yeah, for me, it's like I can remember the beginning of the Iliad in Greek that I learned more than 20 years ago because the meter is so good. I feel like maybe it's different. Maybe it's because I've been an actor since I was like 5.
Maybe.
So obviously, most things don't rhyme once you're like not in school.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, nothing rhymes, and you do need to be able to memorize stuff. So like I don't know that I can do it anymore, but I used to be able to memorize a Shakespeare monologue in 15 minutes. You only really need to read through it a few times if you know the meter and work with the meter a lot. So for me, I've definitely worked with meters since I was younger. And I do understand how it works and how it does help actors out with that stuff. But like I've also done plenty of stuff in verse, or not verse, in just prose. So my whole life I've definitely been memorizing
I
stuff.
think it is like, as a kid, it's really important how you wire your brain. As they say. Because whatever you get used to makes learning certain things easier than others, and then you naturally start leaning towards the things that you learn easier and you're more interested in, and then your brain just completely gets rewired. It's quite fascinating, actually.
Yeah. Definitely a fan of the verse. I love that so much.
With rhyme or no rhyme?
No rhyme. Now,
let's agree to disagree.
One of the best. Have you read Virgil in Latin?
I don't read Latin, so no.
Oh, it's amazing. So Virgil, the reason Virgil is considered the greatest poet by pretty much anyone who reads Latin is because he has sound effects in his writing.
No way. He has the actual like comic with sound effects?
No. He used the words to create sound effects. So not only is he writing in meter, but he's choosing specific words. So if there's a snake coming, there'll be a lot of S words. If there's a fire, there's a lot of F words. There's a lot of... So the sounds become the sound effects.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
This is what no other author's been able to, like, replicate the way that Virgil wrote like that and created these intertextual sound effects.
Fascinating.
So that helps a lot if you want to memorize stuff as well, having those like sound effects in there, because I know it's a word for the ocean, but which one is going to make the S sound? Oh, the C, but in Latin, those versions instead.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so like, I don't have my book with me right here, and I did not memorize those sections, but there's a passage where a sea serpent comes out of the water and attacks... who is it? I can't remember.
Don't look at me, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who it is. It doesn't matter. Oh, stretch, I can do that. Thank you, honey. So the serpent comes out of the water and attacks the guy who basically told the Trojans that the Trojan horse was okay. Because this is in the Aeneid. Aeneas is from Troy, so we're anti-Greeks. We're pro-Troy in this book. It starts with a D, and I can't remember. There's this like famous statue of him and his 2 sons being attacked by sea serpents. But anyway, in the passage in the Aeneid, it's all these. They changed the words that you would usually do for like the serpent came out of the water and glided across the. Usually it's the wine dark sea towards him on the beach, and every single word started with an S. So you get this like hissing.
Oh, hissing sound from just saying. Oh, that's cool.
Just from saying the lines of the poem.
Nope.
Yeah. So that is what generally makes Virgil the greatest. You read it in English, it's nothing special.
Yeah. I feel like that's the problem.
Yeah, if you're reading it in another language.
Guess I have to learn Latin and Greek. It is what it is. I just have to learn the languages, I guess. No way around it.
Nothing special in translation. I mean, Virgil is special like this. There's really no one else that had that grasp on language. So you can read translations of the Iliad and the Odyssey, and you're usually fine as long as you make sure it's someone who translated it well. If you want good ones these days, Emily Wilson did translate both of them, and hers are modern, done by a woman. Significantly better translations. But with the Aeneid, there's no way. The story's not very good, it's the writing that's good. It's like the V for Vendetta monologue, exactly. Not necessarily the whole time, but when it matters. So like on the really important ones, the one where Pyrrhus comes and slaughters everybody in Troy, Pyrrhus is the son of Achilles, and he was one of the biggest monsters in mythology in general. He slaughters babies, throws them off of buildings, murders the king in very gruesome detail. But the sound effects during that particular little verse are just incredible. So it's not like sound effects all the way throughout it, but like in the really high energy and high level, high stakes scenes, it's like hardcore sound effects. And
So, sorry, just to specify, that is a Latin translation of the Iliad?
No.
No.
The
Okay.
Latin original.
Okay.
Yeah. So Virgil wrote in Latin.
Mm-hmm.
So his original work. If you get any translation, you will not have the same kind of sound effects.
Okay. But the Odyssey was written in
Greek.
Okay.
Yeah. So different books. The Aeneid is originally Latin. It was commissioned by, I don't remember which Caesar it was at the time, to basically create something like the old epics, but that would glorify Rome. So Virgil really went to town with it. He wrote it in only a couple of years, and he extended the story, basically. He took off, instead of following Odysseus after they sacked Troy, instead they follow Aeneas, who is the daughter of Venus, or Aphrodite, if you're not reading it in Latin, who, during the Iliad, she, like, sweeps off the field a few times so he doesn't get hurt. It's actually fantastic. As, like, Mother of the Year goes, it's always Aphrodite. She won't let her kids get hurt. Yeah. She's the only one who's just like, no, you may be a warrior, but you're not getting stabbed. You're gonna go sit in timeout for a while.
Cool.
So yeah, the Aeneid.
I was not
just
aware of
follows
the
him
Aeneid
instead.
being a thing. That's pretty
I
cool.
guess that might be normal. I feel like we read all three of them together. So they're like the great epics of the past.
Yeah, it's more of like, as I said, I had the very basic education. I kind of know about it, but never in detail. And unfortunately, like, my high school had, like, the weirdest, like... I mean, the English was technically foreign language in my high school.
Oh, yeah.
But so we did Shakespeare, because I feel like you can't escape any high school in any country in the world without doing at least one Shakespeare thing. In English class.
I would agree with that.
Huh?
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I find like you do at least one thing based on Shakespeare. Where, like, in Sri Lanka, I know, in Philippines, I know in Japan they do it. Like, anywhere, there's one thing you do is Shakespeare in high school. But we went and we did like poems of Maya Angelou for some reason, and then we did.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, they were nice, but they were out of nowhere. And then we did like, there was this obscure, I don't even remember the name of the novel, but it was written by this Arab writer about Castilian Spain, but during when, like, the end of the Ottoman, the end of the Islamic occupation of Spain. And then how there was a story about this kid who, like, it was explaining, like, day-to-day life of this child who then, when he was a teenager, the Catholic Spain took back the south of Spain, and I think the Ottoman Empire had to, like, retreat. And there was this book based on that, and we read it, and I was like, oh, there was, like, child marriage at 13. I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay. I mean, I get it, we're in Middle East, this is pretty common, but still, like, poignant, I guess? But, like, it was a strange...
misnomer.
Yeah, it was...
married that young, but usually they were not allowed to sleep with their brides until they were of age.
Oh, no.
So this
in Islam, you make kids at 13. Like, most of the, like...
It's one of the few places where...
One of the few places where, in, like, the Quran and the other places, like, if a girl is 13, she can... Definitely. Her period started, she can get preggo. Nobody cares. Let's go. Which, it was, you know, at the time when I was reading, I was like, yeah, we know. It's fine. I've had a religion class. I know all about Islam. We've learned about it. It's fine. But it was such a weird choice to take in an English class. Like, I was sitting there, I was like, the book was written in English. It wasn't an Arabic translation. But I was confused why we were taking it. It was just, like, as I said, my entire English lit, like, 2 years of high school. Apart from Shakespeare, I was very confused with the choices. Because I think the teachers had, like, you could choose any novel from, like, a long list that the IB, like, my school education system, provided. And then your teachers would pick which ones you did. And as long as you, like, the teachers would submit it per school. And you would get like, the questions would be vague enough, like, from the book you read in your final year that's been submitted by your teacher, what were the, symbolism, blah, 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 and write an essay on that. It was very vague questions that can be tailored to almost anything, but your school teachers decided which books you took. So my particular school teachers picked the most bizarre books out of nowhere. I would have rather taken, like, the classics, even translated, just because, but we had to do more modern stuff, so I was really bored in my English class, so I just, read fiction. And then in university, I guess, I don't know, because I know in the US you still have to take, like, English courses, and you have to take math, and you have to do, like, at least in your first few years.
Well, you can pass out of it. I passed out of my English class.
Yeah. But in the UK, it's like the moment you start your first year, it's like, okay, my literal first year subjects as a biochemistry major were genetics, biochemistry, microbiology, it was like practical labs, which, yeah, it's just a practical labs course. And there was data analysis, where they taught you how to analyze data, which actually is the most useful class with the practical labs. And that's it. There was no English, no math. That came all as a part of your biochemistry degree and your data analysis. And if you didn't know what, like, for some reason, you didn't know what log was, like, how'd you graduate high school? But nobody would explain it to you. You just had to know. And if you don't know, go read about it. That was the attitude. It was like, oh, you don't know? Not my problem. We all came from different walks of life. Some people in A-levels took this, but, like, if you had a different education, it's on you to fill the gaps in your own knowledge. Like, this is university, baby. We're not gonna spoon feed you here. And I was like, oh, shoot, okay. It's all serious. Some stuff was really nice, because at least chemistry, we did a lot more in high school. Like, at least the first 2 months of university, I was like, whew, okay, I know this. This is a good recovery period for me. But I know a lot of other people from UK schools struggled with the first months, and I was like, really? Oh. So I feel like, I don't know, that disparity between school and university is just strange.
Yeah, I went to a really high-end lower school in high school, so I was actually bored out of my mind in university. I was one of the kids that was like, can we please learn something more? So I was actually able to pass out of most of the just, like, basic classes. Yeah. Passed up into, like, I didn't have to take any more English classes. I passed out of most of the math classes. I didn't have to take most of the 101 classes. I was able to just, like, jump right into, like, final semester classes.
I mean, I guess that saves your time. I mean, I saved up my time in university by being, like, 8 clubs. That's how I, like, spent my time. I was like, okay, uni is boring. I have, like, 2 hours of lectures today. And the beauty of it, it was news to me. So, apparently, university in the UK, the first year doesn't count towards your general average, as long as you pass.
Oh, that's so nice.
So if you get, like, 51 out of 100 for all your subjects, it doesn't count towards your final average. So you don't have to try hard, And during the first year, you would have, like, I would have days, unless we had lab practicals, which were, like, 4 hours a day. For a good reason. As a lab scientist now, it is a full-time job. So, yeah, it makes sense. To get anything done in the lab, you need minimum of an hour. Maximum of, 15, 20, however many you want to do. So, apart from that, lecture-wise, we didn't actually have to attend lectures. We didn't have roll call. Nobody cared. You could just miss all your lectures. As long as you showed up to your exam and you passed it, the teacher doesn't care. And as long as you submitted your coursework on time, they don't give a shit whether you're there or not, The practicals, though, if you miss even one, you better be in a hospital or dead. Like, there's no other excuse for you to not come to these. They could fail you for, like, 2 missed practicals. But with lectures, I remember days where I had, like, a 9 a.m. lecture, and then an 11 a.m. lecture, and the rest of the day was free. And I was like, okay, they just say you have to keep reading, but also, I'm in, like, my first month of my first year. What am I supposed to do? And then they were like, okay, we have, like, 5 societies. Yeah, we have some sports, we have some hobbies, we have a cooking society, we have a acting society, we have martial arts, we have pick anything, and I was like, oh boy, that's gonna be my day. So I guess that saved me from being bored the first month, but I don't know.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I don't know, school was just so easy for me in general, but also I see Bambi's here, and we do have a collab plan for after our time, so we'll probably need to head to that soon.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Since
there
it has been 2 hours.
Yes.
And
lovely chat.
To hang out in Genshin with me.
I mean, so, I could just chill for a bit, but we don't have to have, like, this time. Oh no, wait, because you're doing. Yeah, you're gonna spoil me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go because I've already got spoiled a little bit, but like not much. I somehow managed to avoid like any kind of spoilers. I'm just lucky like that. So I'm waiting till I'm surprised.
Excellent.
Quite indeed. Once again, thank you for coming.
Lore stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, definitely could do something like this again. I have more questions about the clinic. I feel like this was a, hey, remember that college degree? Tell me about half of it. But genuinely, I feel like I just could never get this kind of information from anywhere. But I will definitely rewatch Xena, because if
Definitely do it.
if
There's
you
a lot of
say,
good stuff in it.
if you say it's out of most things you're aware of, is most lore accurate
It is one
again.
of the best. Yeah,
I'm definitely
it's one of
to
the
rewatch
best. I mean, there's some wacky stuff like Caesar is hanging out. Time period wise, it's messed up. But
yeah.
in general,
Before we go, quick
it's one of the
question.
better ones.
You know how
Yeah.
Xena was like a spin-off of the Hercules series?
yes.
Is the Hercules series accurate or no? Is it mostly
No.
just Xena? Which is bizarre,
Mostly
because
just
weren't they
Xena.
done by the same like Australian company?
Yes, but remember they made Hercules a hero when he's not actually a hero.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, I mean,
Whereas Xena's a completely made up character.
yeah, so you can do whatever you want with her story.
Exactly.
And to be fair, I loved her, like, oh, she's a villain in Hercules, and then she, like, tries to reform herself, but inherently, she kind of, all of season 1, she's, like, full-on dealing with people being like, oh, yes, Xena, the warlord, I know that, and she's like, I'm not doing that anymore. They're like, why?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm good now. I was like, why? I'm not good at Xena. Anyway, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and split us off.
Yeah,
and
hope
I'll-
you enjoyed as well.
Sammy's free now, so she's gonna pop into the VTube studio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all good. I will